Hi guys, we were talking about lines and angles, and in this video we'll speak of parallel lines and a transversal. Now before we move on to this topic, let's just revise what a transversal is. So a transversal is a line which cuts any two lines. They could be any lines, they could be parallel or not parallel to each other, any two lines in two distinct points. Now the important thing to remember is the transversal should cut the two lines in distinct points. So for example, this was one line, this was another line. See, they are not parallel to each other, and there was a third line which intersected this line right here and this line here. So this was a line something like this. So this red line, let's call it line L, would be the transversal to these two lines M and N. So that is what a transversal is. But here we'll talk about two parallel lines and then a transversal cutting them. So if I have to draw a figure, it would be something like this. Let's say this is our figure. Here, let me call this one line M, this is line N, and this maroon line is line L. Now we see that M and N are intersected by L at two distinct points. One here, the other one here. So L is a transversal to M and N. Right. Now first of all, we look at what are the regions formed when this happens. So there's a region right between lines M and N. This one. We call this the interior region. Interior, because this is between M and N. While the region here, also here, is exterior. And this one is also exterior. So the region between M and N is interior, while those outside that are exterior. Now we also see that this line, the transversal, divides the whole plane, the plane of this whole screen, into two parts. One to its left, the other one to its right. So the transversal divides the whole plane into two sides. Now that we've seen what are the different regions that are formed when two parallel lines are intersected by a transversal, let's look at what are the names that we give to the angles formed. So here we have the figure again. Let this be L, M and N. We see that there are four angles formed when L intersects M, and similarly four angles formed when N intersects L. Let me just name them. So if this was angle 1, let me call this angle 5. I'll use different colors for different angles. Let this be angle 2. This is angle 6. Angle 3. Angle 7. And finally angle 4 and angle 8. So we see that there are 8 angles formed when two parallel lines are intersected by a transversal L. Great. Now if you look at the angles which are of the same color, that means angle 1 and angle 5. This one. Or if you look at angle 2 and angle 6. Or angle 3 and angle 7. Or angle 4 and angle 8. These are nothing but pairs of corresponding angles. So we see that whenever two lines are intersected by a transversal, parallel or not parallel, there are four pairs of corresponding angles formed. Similarly, there are alternate interior angles. So the interior region is the region between M and N. There are 4 interior angles, angle 4, 3, 5 and 6. Now there is a word alternate prefixed to interior angles. So that would just mean that angle 4 and angle 6 are a pair of alternate interior angles because they are on the opposite side of the transversal. Similarly, angle 3 and angle 5 are on the interior region and on the opposite side, hence they are another pair of alternate interior angles. Great. The other pair could have been alternate exterior angles. What would these be? This would again be on the opposite sides of the transversal and on the exterior region. That means 7 and angle 1 would be alternate exterior angles because they are on the opposite side of the transversal L as well as in the exterior regions. So we have angle 1 and angle 7 as one pair, and also angle 2 and angle 8 as the other pair, angle 8 and angle 2. Finally, we have angles on the same side of the transversal and in the interior region. So we call them interior angles on the same side of the transversal. Now first of all, they are interior angles, hence they are either out of 4, 3, 5 or 6, and they are on the same side of the transversal. That means angle 4 and angle 5 are two interior angles on the same side of the transversal. What could be the other pair? Yes, angle 3 and angle 6. So those are your 4 types of angles that we've named and we'll mostly talk about. Now that we know what are these angles called, in the next video we'll look at if there are any relationships between these angles. Happy learning!